we loaded some data, like some sample data, sales data. So today we will see different types of extractions, what type of extractions available, and uh, how we can extract from the different sources like Excel and SQL and many other sources. Okay, so in order to extract any new data, so we need to go to new source here from the Power Query, or we can use get data in the Power View here. But I always suggest to go with the Power Query because we can modify, if we want to modify anything inside the data, we can modify here, or we can apply any transformations. So that's a best option. So if we click on new source, and we can see there are 100 types of, more than 100 types of connectors here. So we can connect to any cloud source, any local source, on-premises one, and different types of connectors. There are a lot of connectors you can see here. And there are some databases or some other things which we cannot connect also. For example, I hope you have worked with the SFTP. So SFTP is like file sharing one. We cannot connect SFTP with Power BI directly. So there are a few things. They are still working to build the connectors, but those type of connectors we can use some workarounds to get the data into Power BI. But there is no direct connection for SFTP. You can see here. But still, there are plenty of connectors which we can connect to, like almost 90% of the databases in the current days. Okay, so let me start again with same simple Excel workbook. So when I click here on the Excel workbook, so it shows me this option to pick my Excel from the local desktop. Then I can go to any Excel and then click OK. So you can see here in this Excel, there are many sheets. I will show you Excel here. So this is the Excel. So here there are many sheets: invoice processing, errors, disputes, countries, customers, goods. There are these all sheets. It will show here all the sheets. So whichever the sheet you want to export it into Power BI, you can select. So currently I want, for example, invoice processing and let's say countries. So these two tables I want. Then I need to click OK. See, once I click OK, the two tables, here we call them queries. Two queries are loaded. This one and this one. Okay. And you see right side, for invoice processing, there are 4 steps added. And for countries, there are only 3 steps added. Okay. So why Power BI is doing this different type of steps with the same Excel sheet? This is also coming from the same Excel sheet, and this is also coming from the same Excel sheet. But Power BI performing here 4 steps, here only 3 steps. Okay, so let us try to understand what exactly Power BI is doing here. Okay, let me go to invoice processing first and see here. First one is the source. Source is always a like this step. Source step is like connecting to any type of data source and getting the data. That is the source. Okay, you can see here, if you go to advanced editor, So here all our queries will be stored, whatever the steps, everything will be stored in the in the M query. This is called M query. So you see here the first step is source. So here the source details will be stored. You can see the source details. So it's coming from C drive and so folder. Okay. So if it is, let's say, a CSV file, instead of Excel, it will be CSV. If it is a database, like SQL database, so instead of Excel, it will be like something SQL or Oracle or like that. So this is the source, the first step. So next step, it is from this Excel sheet, it's going to the sheet. Like from this entire Excel workbook, it's going to the sheet, this level. Okay, this is the second step. Because we are choosing these sheets. Here we are choosing invoice processing. Here we are choosing countries. And then this is the step we have in this invoice processing. But if we go to countries, we don't see this step, promoted headers. Okay, so why Power BI is performing this promoted headers? Power BI always looks for clean data. Okay, always try to show you very clean data. So here Power BI assumed the first row as column names. This one, country code, customer ID. So let me show you in the Excel. So this is the first row in the Excel. So this one Power BI is taking as the column names. Here it is taking as column names. That is why it is promoting the headers. Without promoting, it will be like this. I'm going to the previous step. So without promoting, it will be like this. There won't be any column names, like just column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, like this. And you will see everything in the rows. But as I said, Power BI try to show us clear data. So it is assuming the first row as headers, and then it's pushing this first row into headers. So that is what happened in the third step. It pushed first row into headers, column headers. And once it's done, it will try to detect the types. Okay, what is this column type and what is this column type? What is this column type? Like that, it will check each and every column. It will detect the column type. So that is the last step, change type. See, here, if you see, if I go to previous step, here there are different, like even though there are like here everything is number, here it is a combination, it is the date here, but everything it is showing ABC 1 to 3, ABC 1 to 3. This ABC 1 to 3 means it's like not a single data type. It's not detected yet. Here, it's very clear. It is 1, 2, 3. That means it is number. It is ABC. That means it's text. It's this date format. Okay. So like that, it is detected. But coming to the countries, it didn't detect promoted headers. Why? Because Power BI didn't understand the column types here. So it checks the first row here. So let's say this is the first row. This is the first row and this is the second row. So Power BI tried to take this first row as headers, but it found numbers here. So it thinks, okay, numbers won't be sometimes column names. So that is why it didn't assume the first row as columns. Okay, if the columns are text, then it will directly try to push into the headers. But now Power BI is thinking this is not a header. So that's why it didn't push into the headers. But if we want, we can push this to the headers using the steps here. But that we will see later. Okay, and this is the difference between these two Excel sheets, the first sheet and the second sheet. Why Power BI perform different steps here. And let us take another data source. Like I took Excel previously. Now I'm taking CS. Okay, this is the text document. You can see here, text document, CSV. Okay, this is some random data. Don't worry about this data. So here, when I took it as CSV source, it applied only two steps. One is source and one is change type. Why? Why there is like no navigation or nothing here? You see, only two steps. One is source and one is change type. Why? Because the CSV, the type, the input type, the CSV contains only one sheet. Excel can contain multiple sheets. Okay. Excel can contain like multiple sheets, but CSV always contains only one sheet. That is the like feature or properties of CSV. All the CSVs and text files contains only one sheet. There is no multiple sheet concept in the CSV or text. That is why here there is no navigation step. It is a source, so it is a single sheet. It's taking directly. It's not going anywhere. It's not navigating anywhere. And then directly it is checking, okay, what are the different column types here? Again, it will try to detect the columns first, but it checked the first row. There are many empty rows. You see, there are many empty rows. Because of this, it didn't detect the columns. Okay, so it just kept the data as is. So that's why we don't see many steps here. Very simple source, where it's getting the data from, this CSV, and then the change type. Very simple. Okay, so by this we can understand each and every source has its own properties. Okay, if you are taking it from the Excel, you will see different properties or different steps. If you are taking it from the CSV or Excel, it has different properties. And if you take it from the SQL source, then it will have the different properties. Okay, so based on the source type, the number of steps will be different here. Okay, so this we need to be like, we need to understand carefully. So why there are different types of steps appearing every time whenever we are taking different data source. So this is one thing we need to consider. Now let me show you some more data sources. So we took from Excel and we took from CSV, and let me also take from web. Web is like you can provide any URL, you can take from any random website. But it should be like open website. We can get data from open website, like for example, Wikipedia or any other websites or anything like which can give you access. Some websites are closed, they won't allow you anyone to get the data from the websites. Okay, but Wikipedia allows. So let me go to Wikipedia and world population. So let's go to world population data. So here we can see some text, a lot of text. But here I want to take the population data. So this one, this table I need. Okay, this table I need. There are a lot of other tables also. Okay, I need to copy this URL and go to Power BI and paste it here. Okay, then you can see a lot of tables here. Left side, you can see a lot of tables. You can check the sample here, which one you want. So I'm checking here, this one, this one. Okay, there are many, 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 many. Okay, let's take this one, population by regions. Okay, this one I'm selecting. Why there are these many tables? Because the Wikipedia page, this page, world population page, having a lot of tables. You can see here, there are a lot of tables. So it will show everything, all the tables, all the possible tables in Power BI here. So I am considering only one table, that is population by 2020. Okay, then the data is here. You see here, right side the steps, again, these are different. Source, and the next step is extracted from the HTML. Okay, try to extract from the HTML page. And then finally, it applies change types for each and every column. And here still, it didn't detect the first row as columns. This first row as columns, it didn't detect. But we can make this go here to the column headers. Currently, columns are not detected. You see, column 1, column 2, column 3, these are not the column names. This first row is the column name. Okay. So this is from web, and let us try to take from SQL Server. So for SQL Server, it is hosted in my system. So I can use just server and database and I can load it. If it is hosted in an organization, for example, you need to give the credentials, username and password, then it will connect. So for me, it's hosted in the local system. So I can give the server name. So database is optional. If you don't give database, then it will directly connect to the server and shows you all the databases. And there are some connectivity modes. I will explain you about this later. So just today I'm trying to show different types of extraction, different type of data sources. So see here, it connected to the SQL. data source, and then it is showing us all the databases. So these are all the different types of databases inside my local SQL server. So then I'm selecting dev and one table. Let's say this one. See, whenever we take data from databases like relational, RDB, method, the normal databases or any other databases, the structure of the database already contains all the information, right? So if you take any database, the column names and column types, all things are already predefined in the database. So that is why it is easy for Power BI to detect the columns. See, all the columns are already detected, all the column names, and all the types are also detected. You see, this type is 1.2, that is the decimal. This is ABC text, and this is date. All are detected, and there is no step. Power BI is not changing the types because they are already predefined in the database. So almost all the databases comes with predefined data types and predefined column names. So that's why it is very easy for Power BI to connect with the databases than the file systems. File systems are always a messy. So if someone connects to the file system means Excels and CSVs and JSONs and these all things. So whenever someone connects to this, first of all, it will try to go to the sheets and it will try to find the headers, because here there is no predefined in the Excel. Here there is no predefined allotment of like column types, column names. We don't have this structure in the Excels. Okay, we cannot, I mean, we can give here the types and all, but it is not like predefined. We cannot fix them. Okay, we can just give them, but still Power BI takes it as a normal data. Okay, it happens with the file system. That's why you see,
Now,
yeah.
I mean, can you please, because we exported the data from URL as well, right? Wikipedia.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So over there, can you please click
Mm-hmm.
on? So the column names are not at all identified. So
Yes,
it
yes.
is. So to make that columns as a header, do we have any other procedure?
Yes. We
Oh,
have the transformations.
okay,
That's why
okay,
I told you, like, we can make it using the step, but now I'm not going to the step. So like we can make it like this. So it will go to the first step of
okay,
columns. So this is like transformation. So currently I'm not explaining about the transformations. I'm
okay,
just trying to show you different types of exporting options.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. No problem. Right. Okay. So yeah. So these first five are the file systems. So this is coming from the Excel, this is coming from the Excel, and this is coming from the CSV. This is sorry, this is coming from the CSV, and this is coming from the web. For this all things, you can see change type option, the step, the last step. Change type, change type, change type, change type, everything. But when it comes to database, there is no change type, because they are already predefined in the database. The types are already predefined in the database. But if we still want to change, we can change. But Power BI won't do it in the initial stage because they are already predefined in the database. You might know, because whenever we are working on the database, first thing we do, we need to define column names in the database, and we need to define the data types also. then only it will allow us to enter the data. Okay, that is why all the databases are very structured, and data is very clean almost in the database. But it is not the same thing with the excels or some file systems. The data will be very different, very messy. So Power BI tries to clean it, like um, it tries to identify the headers, it tries to identify the types and many things. Okay, so this is the different type of data sources, and you can connect to many other sources also, like Oracle database and Azure SQL.
In real time, so
Mm-hmm.
what would be the connections? It will be with some cloud or Excel in the real time project. What
Mm-hmm.
majorly in the currently in the projects, clients are using any cloud level or else from
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Excel.
Many people are using clouds. For example, Amazon Redshift. I worked with Amazon Redshift many times. This one,
Okay,
and also Azure SQL, Azure SQL database. This one, this is hosted in the Azure AWS. Sorry, Azure platform. Like that. These are the most common ones, like Redshift and Azure SQL, and there are some others also. And this, like, there are a lot of on-premises databases also, like Postgre and MySQL and Oracle. These are the very common used: Oracle, MySQL, Postgre, and MS SQL. These are the, like, almost if you go for 10 projects, out of 10, 9 projects you can see any of this: SQL database or Oracle or Postgre. These are the major databases that most of the companies are using. But yeah,
okay,
as you asked, there are many cloud databases also. So Power BI can connect and get the data. And here, mostly we are going to use, in the classes, we are mostly going to use SQL as well as Excels, because we always change the data. We always work with different types of data to show you the data cleaning and the data transformations. So it is very easy when data is messy, when data is not perfect. So we can make it perfect using the data cleaning steps and data transformation steps. Okay, so yeah, these are the different types of sources that I wanted to show you, like how the different steps are taken care by Power BI. These are by default. Okay, we are not doing anything so far. We are just extracting the data, and Power BI is performing these all steps. Okay, we can also perform every step manually, but like initially Power BI does. If you want to modify anything, we can modify. Okay, so now let's go to one of the Excels, this one, and let us try to modify the source. So first thing, we extracted the data. Now we want to modify the source. Okay, so we can modify the source details in multiple ways. Um, One is by going to advanced editor. Here we can modify in the code, or we can also modify with UI here. Okay, so when we need to modify the source, okay, first of all, we extract the data from so and so source, and we develop the dashboards. We do a lot of things, and what happens sometimes, the source will be changed. So source will be moved to from one place to another place. Let's say this file is located in this folder. like PBI folder, and this is PBI Jan 23, and this is IP copy. This is a file name. So what happened suddenly? Someone moved it from this folder, So where is it? Yeah, this one. So someone moved it from this folder to another folder. Let's say I'm creating another folder here, like test folder. So this was moved from here to here. Okay. So now the path has been changed. The path of this file is changed. Now it is in the test folder. Okay. Now what happens to this data? So whenever the next time you refresh the data, if you want to, extract the new data, or if you want to add the new data, so we need to refresh. So whenever we refreshes, Power BI throws an error because it is looking into this path, the specific path. Now, inside Power BI Jan 23, it's looking for IP copy. If we go here, there is no IP copy here because it's moved to different folder. That's why it's throwing error. So Power BI is very, very sensitive about the source names, file names, and the paths and everything. Okay, I don't think it's only Power BI, everything. All the tools are like this. So very important to give correct path. If we give one path and the file is changed to another path, then surely it will throw an error like this. Okay. Now we need to change this. So as I said, we can either change it using UI here. This is one way. So I can browse and point it to the new path. So this is the new path, and I can click and I can open. Okay, and done. You see, now error is gone. Now data is back. This is one way. Another way, let me again put it back to another folder. So I'm taking from here and I'm putting in this folder again. So now again the path is changed. So if I refresh, it will show error. Okay, so we already saw how we can change it from here. Now let's do it from advanced editor. So if I go to advanced editor, there is a path. So here in this path, we need to change the details. Otherwise, we can simply copy the new path. So I can go here. I can see where is it? Yeah, here. And this is the new path. I can copy. I can paste it here. Okay. There is something wrong with this.
File name is not.
Exactly. So file name is not mentioned, and okay, let's copy the entire file name until here. So now it's until the file name. There are one extra double quotes and a remote. Okay, done. Now our data is back.
So if we did some transformations and logic is applied, then after the path is changed, then
Mhm.
it will affect our logics we already implemented.
Yes, yes.
Then
Uh,
at that time, if the path is
mhm.
changed, then what would be the position of the
Yeah,
report?
yeah, the same thing. Like it will only show an error if something happens, but the steps won't be affected. Okay, steps will be same as is. If you change the source, if you change the source, the other steps will follow.
Okay.
Okay, so they won't be impacted. They will follow for whatever the, if you change the Excel sheet also, if you change it to the new Excel sheet, everything, they try to follow the same data, whatever you are giving. Okay, so nothing will be happen to the steps performed later. Right. So this is how we can change. Even in the databases, for example, this is the database. So something is changed in the database. Let's say, let me try to open this. So now someone asked us to point this to prod database. Currently it is connected to dev database. You can see here, we connected to dev database. And now we need to change it to the prod. The same data is also available in the prod, but with the additional data, and we need to change it to the prod. So this is like changing the database. Okay, changing the database. So I will, yeah, this one, and if I go to databases, this is the dev database, and here we can see the tables. And there is also a prod database. Here also we have some tables. It will take some time to load this. So once the database details are available, so we need to change it wherever the database details are mentioned here. So we need to be very careful. The first one here for the SQL server is the server name. This is the server name. So I hope you already know about the hierarchy, how the databases are configured. The first one is always server name. Server name. Almost all the databases follow the same methodology or structure. First one is the server name, and once we enter to the server, we find the database. And once we enter into the database, we find tables, or you can call views, or you can call stored procedures, or so and so, whatever it. So we need to give the server name, and we need to give the database, and then we need to give the table. So then only it will go to tables and gives the data. So here also you can see the first thing is server. This is the server name, and this is the database name, the dev database, and this is the table name. Yeah, you can see in dev database, there is a table called IP. And if I go to the prod, there is also same table. So there is a request from the users. They asked us to point our report from dev database to prod database. Now, in order to do this, first we need to confirm with them whether the same table is available in the prod or not. Once they confirms like, okay, it is available in the prod, then we need to change the database here. So instead of dev, I can choose prod. PRD. This is one way, or you can also do it with the UI. Here, you can click here and you can change it to the prod, and you can select like this. Okay, both the ways works. Both the ways gives you the same results. Now it is connected to the prod. You see, it is prod now. There is no issue in the data. Data is fine. Okay, like this, we can modify the databases as well, or even the server, even the tables, everything. Everything we can modify. Okay, so remember, whenever you see any error, the file name or any error, that means there is something is wrong in the source. There are many different other errors also, but you can easily find the error with the data source. It will simply show you like the path is not found, or database is not found, or table is not found, like this. Okay, so I will show you another example. Let's go to invoice processing here. IP copy, yeah, this one. So now let's try to change the name. Instead of changing the folders, let's try to change the name. So IP copy, instead of copy, I'm taking like IP test. Okay, now the file name is changed. So what happens with our data? Same issue. Could not find the file. So this is one of the simplest issue many times you will face whenever there is like files. There are like files, input files changed or input database changed, something happens. You will see this issue, but this is very easy to find. Very simple. It will show here data source not found. So it is something to do with the data source. Okay. So now the file is not there. So we can check first of all whether the file is there or not. So file is renamed. Then we need to rename here in the Power BI as well. So here instead of copy, I can take test. Right. So our data is back. So here one important point. If something happens with the data in the input with the data sources, data source extraction considerations. Okay, if it is a file system, if it is file system like Excel files, CSV files, or anything, so it's very important to provide the correct path. And it is also very important to provide correct folders, and then the file names, and then the sheet names if it is there, sheet, and then the columns. Even columns also very important. If the column name, any column name is changed in the input, then still Power BI throws some error. So we already seen about path and folder and the file name. So we change the file name, it is throwing error. We change the folder, it is throwing error. The path is also same. So let's go to sheet and columns. Let's try to change the sheet. Okay, I'm going here to the IP test. Invoice processing. So instead of invoice processing, I'm just adding something like invoice processing 2. So now the sheet name is changed. let's see what happens with Power BI here. So I'm refreshing here. The same thing. Data source error. This is so and so not found. 1 second, sorry. This we need to close actually. Yep. Now let me refresh. Now see here. Now it is not a data source error because the data source is up to this point, like until finding the file. After that, the sheets and columns are like the next steps. Once we extract the file, so the sheets, it will try to find the sheet name and the column names. Now it is throwing an error here, expression error. The key didn't match any rows in the table. So we don't understand, okay, where it is happened. But you can see the details here. The key is this one, invoice processing, and the kind is sheet. So it is a sheet. So what is the error? The key didn't find match any rows. So this key, invoice processing, didn't match with anyone. Okay. And if I click on go to error, it went to the second step. You see here, it went to the second step. So now we can understand, okay, there is something wrong with the second step because it is not trying to find invoice processing. Then we can go and check the Excel file whether it is having invoice processing or not. Then we will find, okay, someone is changing the name. Then again, the same thing. We need to change the name here. So done. I can change from here, I can change from here, or I can go to advanced editor and change from here. Okay, whatever we are seeing here, this is the formula bar. For each step, there will be a formula like this. 1, 2, 3. So you see the steps here. When I am clicking on each step, the formula is appearing here. So this entire formulas, the combined entire formulas will be available here in the advanced editor. So this is a combined steps. You see the first step is source, and the second step is this navigation, this one, and third step is promoted headers, this one, and fourth step is this. Okay, if you want to see individually, you can click and you can see this formula here. So now the second step, the issue is with the sheet, and we modified the sheet name, and now we got the data back. Okay, the same with the column names also. If you modify any column name, like for example, instead of country code, I'm keeping country code 2, and that's all. Now what happens again here in Power BI? So issue is with the column name. So it's try to find this column, country code of the table not found. This is very easy. These errors we can identify very easily. So it is clearly showing here the column is not available. The column was not found. So we can check the input sheet. Okay, the column was not available because someone changed the name. So we need to change the name here. So in which step we need to change? So this is very important. This is very, very important whenever we are dealing with the files. Okay, because if you don't have change type or promoted headers like this, like if you don't have change type, for example, you didn't change any types of the column, this code won't be written. See what it is doing here. It is going to each and every column. So it is going to country code and it is assigning the type. It's going to a customer ID and it is assigning the type. So for each and every column, it is assigning the type. Okay. So let's find our column which is having error. This is country code. So this is the country code. So this is looking for country code. This step is looking for country code. So there are no other steps looking for country code. For example, if I go here, there is no information about country code, no information, no information. This is the last step looking for country code. But country code is not available. It was changed. So here we need to change. Okay, I am changing it. Done. We can identify the error easily with file system. But when it comes to databases, you don't see any column declaration. You see here, I'm going to advanced editor. You cannot see any columns here. So whatever the column name you give in the input, for example, instead of country code, if you change it to country code 2 in the database, nothing will show here. It will just take it. But where you will get the issue? You will get issue in the database. You will get issue in the visuals. So you have created a visual based on this country code. But next time the country code name is changed, it won't detect here because there is no information about country code. Like it is not stating here in any formula in our advanced editor. It is not stating column names here. Okay. But all these file systems, if you see, I'm going to this file system. It is stating the columns. Here it is stating the columns. Here it is stating the columns because we already discussed all the databases already predefined with the column names. That is why Power BI don't worry about the column names here. But all the file systems are not structured data. Because of this, it always tries to change the column types, column names, not column names, column types. Okay. So this is the difference between the file system and the databases. Okay. So coming back to this, okay. So we need to consider these all things whenever we are working with a file system. If there is something issue with the path, folder, file name, sheet, columns. So this all can lead to error. Okay. So whenever we are working with other systems like database or ERPs, then we need to consider a few things here also. So server, and then database name, and then table names, and then again column. Okay, this is the structure, right? First server, and then the database, and then tables, and then the columns. So these things are very important in the databases. So if you change any of this, it will throw an error. I mean, it may not throw error like if you change the database or table or server, it will throw error directly in Power Query here. But if you change the column names, it won't throw error here, but it will throw error in the visuals. Okay, so you can take this screenshot if you want. And let's going back to here. So far, do you have any doubt or clear?
No, it's good.
Okay. Yep. So once we extract the data, so if we close and apply, so all the tables will be loaded into Power Pivot.
Yeah, once we loaded the data from the transformations
Yeah,
query, then it should be loaded in the pivot, right?
exactly. So from this Power Query, it loads data into Power Pivot.
Okay. Power pivot is nothing but one second. Like now you
Like
just
the data, we can do data manipulation, we can do calculations and everything. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Okay, you see here there are some pending changes and there is some error. Let's see what is the error. Simultaneously, if you want to do it, you can do it also. Like you can take some random excels and you can do. Okay, see here, the issue is with countries could not find the file. Okay, you can see here it is with the countries. Now we need to check what's wrong with countries. So let's go to countries. Now this is the countries. So there is something wrong with the countries. So let me refresh. Yeah. So countries and invoice processing both are coming from same source. We are taking these two tables from the same source, same Excel. But we changed for invoice processing, we changed the source for invoice processing. This one, see, we changed it to IP test, but for countries, we didn't do. Okay, because we forgot that we took different tables from the same source, but we didn't change for one source. And that is why it is throwing error. So in these cases, so sometimes you will also see same things like you will take data from the same source. You will take like plenty of table, lot of tables like 3, 4, 5, 6 from the same source. But if something is wrong with the source input, you will change it to the one table, but other tables remain in the error. Okay. So instead of going to each and every table and change, there is one easy option to change the source. That is here, data source settings. So if we go to data source settings, so we can see here, we are extracting these two tables, invoice processing and countries from IP test. But the previous one, this one, countries is still assigned to IP copy. Okay. So we can directly change this IP copy here. So we can change the source and we can modify this to the new source. This one. See, now both will be fine. See, now this is fine and this is fine. Okay, let's quickly change name one more time. I will show you here. So I'm changing IP test 2. So now what happens? So if I refresh all the tables, these two, see here, these two tables are throwing error. So I can go here and I can change the source here, and I can go here, I can change the source here. Because those two are coming from the same source. So instead of changing individually, so this is the best option to go here. And what is the source these two are coming from? That is IP test. So here in the data source settings, all the different sources will be stored. So now I need to change to IP test. So here I need to change to IP test 2, right? IP test 2. Now see, whenever I change here, both are back. There is no error. Let's see here. Now both are back. Okay. So if you want to change, you can go and change individually also. But if you're having a lot of tables which are sharing the same data source, you can directly change in the data source settings. So this will impact all the tables whichever using the source. Okay. So if you are using like same SQL for 5 tables, it will store here like one time, because this is data source. So these are the different data sources we are using in this Power BI. Okay, we took data from text, we took data from Excel, we took data from SQL, and we took data from web.